the curtains of the underground dance community that's reshaping Johannesburg's cultural landscape. I'm your host, OK Klingi, and this is the latest iteration of the 303 radio residency on Rocker Radio, where we get up close and personal with the prolific figures both in front of and behind the scenes. Our name, 303, pays homage to the Roland TV 303, a repurposed piece of music technology that Black communities transformed into the foundation of acid house and techno. Like that revolutionary instrument, we're about amplifying voices that transform the ordinary into the extraordinary. For 3 years, our event series and radio show have been bridging Johannesburg and the world, creating spaces where Black, queer, and POC artists can truly be heard. Now, with the sit-down, we're diving deeper into the stories, struggles, and triumphs of the people who make our underground dance community vibrate with possibility. Today's guest,
Jackie Queens,
is part of this movement, where every beat drops like an active resolution, and every story adds to our collective history. This is 303, the sit-down, where the underground embraces us.
you are tuned into the 303 show.
Ready.
Hello everyone, I've got a very cute mic. Welcome to 303, the sit down episode 2. We are here at the Lilies radio station in Parktown. Different environment this time, but otherwise still the same type of vibe, sitting down with prominent music artists in the industry, in the underground world, and we're here to just find out more about their process, how they go about things, the future of how they see where the underground is going, and their inspirations and what got them there. So we're here with Jackie Queens. How was your weekend? I saw that you were like playing everywhere.
I wasn't playing everywhere. I actually was playing at Good Morning on Saturday, and it's the first time I played in like a really long time. So it was good fun. It was so much fun. I just really miss being a performer.
Yeah.
And so like being able to perform, but then also at like one of my favorite events, you know, for some of my favorite people, was just really nice.
I'm not gonna lie, when I was doing research on you, I was very shocked to find out that you were a DJ. I thought that you were just a musician, honestly, and a singer.
I'm not a DJ.
But you were, apparently, according to the internet.
Were you using ChatGPT?
Nah, I was literally, bro, I went on, she said so, I went on IG, and all these things are like, yeah, DJ, songwriter, and I was like, oh, okay, DJ.
I'm not a DJ. I don't know where people get that idea from. I really don't, because I'm not a DJ.
Oh, you're not at all?
No, I'm not a DJ. I used to play with a DJ, as in like I would sing and the DJ would play. But I don't know where people think I'm a DJ, and they also think I'm a producer, which is like really wild. But no,
okay.
I sing, I write songs.
Yeah.
That's what I do.
That's cool. When did you start this? Because my research, once again, you grew up in Zimbabwe, then you came to South Africa.
In between, I was in the UK.
Okay.
So like after high school, I grew up in Zim, born and raised there. And then after high school, I went to the UK. And then after about 6 years, I moved to Cape Town to go to varsity.
You went to UCT?
Yeah.
What did you study?
I studied media in undergrad, and then I did radio production and like political communication.
I think that's where the DJ thing comes from.
Oh, maybe that's
the production side of it. Like,
no, I don't. And the thing is, I don't even have like this ambition of being a DJ. Like people say to me all the time, "You should play," and I'm like, "No, why?
Why would I want to do that?
Why would I want? Not that. Why would I want to do that? It's just that I enjoy singing so much. So even when I see DJs who are also vocalists and they play and sing at the same time, like when I started singing, and singing with a DJ, like people used to say that to me all the time. And even now that, you know, there's a space for it, because even when I was playing, even now, I don't think there's a space for vocalists in clubs.
You think?
No.
Isn't that more of like an international thing?
No. I go to a lot of parties when I travel, and I don't see vocalists in clubs. I just don't.
Gosh.
Not even in the way that I used to perform it. Like, no.
And there's
a few like now you've got people like Awen. I would say she's probably like the most like famous in the Afro house scene. Then you've got people like Aluna who've been doing it for a while, you know, Kalina Zanders, I think is her name. Like there's a few, but not that many. Like they like, so when I say that there's no space for it, it is a space in which vocalists should be in, but they're not.
Underground.
Where?
Yeah.
Where was the last party you went to and you saw a vocalist?
Listen, like I go to art spaces, so there is like a sound person there and then like a person singing over it. So like people call it DJing, but it's not really, but it kind of is also. But okay, it's fine. I'm not going to speak more about that because I honestly don't know.
Yeah, you just don't see them.
Yeah, you kind of clocked me. I can't lie.
You don't see vocalists in clubs at all.
Isn't that a 90s thing though?
I don't even know.
Like when house music came about, wasn't that like the normal thing?
I actually don't know. I can't say for sure.
Yeah.
I can't say for sure. I mean, there are people who I idolize who, you know, used to have parties like Barbara Tucker, for example, used to do this party with Louis Vega, apparently, like in New York. And like, obviously, as a vocalist, I imagine that she was singing there all the time. And she's still somebody who sings in clubs, to be fair. Or rather that does like shows with DJs on the lineup, you know, like Glitterbox and stuff like that. But yeah.
It's not something that you see really.
I think I can unequivocally say that
it's just not a thing.
It's not happening.
Yeah. So how did you get into music anyway? Because like, I mean, you grew up traveling and I'm sure that sort of inspired your music taste and stuff. So how did you grow up in your music taste and how has that gotten you to where you are now?
I didn't start singing until I was in my early 20s.
Oh, wow.
So only when I moved to South Africa did I actually start singing. So when I was growing up, it was more like, Jackie can sing. It was never like a thing in my family.
I'm gonna go and pursue it.
Yeah, it was also never like an option, you know, as a career, to be fair. But I would sing, you know, like the sort of tried and tested, sang in the choir, whatever. And then, yeah, even when I was in the UK, funny enough, I didn't pick it up there, which is so bizarre to me now.
Yeah.
Because every time I visit London, it's like there's just so much musical stuff
that's going on
and to do. So, but I would go to shows. Like that was one thing I always did. Like that I've always done. So I've always gone to shows. I've always gone to parties. But at that time, I just wasn't really, I wasn't connecting with people who were making music. And then when I came to South Africa in end of 2007, and started going to varsity, or rather before that, because I came in December 2007, my mom was like, if you're looking for a job, you should go to this restaurant. You would love it there because the waiters sing.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, let me try it. I went, I auditioned, and I ended up working there for like 3 years.
You have to audition to sing to become part of this restaurant.
Yeah.
That's insane.
And that was where I met like a bunch of people who I started working with, like just doing stuff, writing, being in bands. So I met a friend who was playing the saxophone at the time, and he was like, oh, I'm in this band and we're looking for someone to sing vocals. And I was like, okay, cool. And then I just found myself in an 8-piece swing band for a while, and then I started my own band, and then I, like in between all of that, I decided I wanted to start singing house music because I always loved house music, and I was like, I need to try it. And obviously, being in South Africa, how can you not want to sing house music? So then I went on Gumtree. And I was looking
for the listings. I was looking for a
because he used to be able to do that. He used to be able to go and say, hey, looking for this. And like producers would go out and be like, I'm looking for vocalists or whatever.
That's so sick.
And I was like, people to this day still get shocked. They're like, Gumtree? And I'm like, yeah. So it was Gumtree, SoundCloud.
Period.
Those two things. And so that's how I found a lot of my sort of early collaborations. But the most important one was through Gumtree, and I met Dice Jones, who's a very good friend of mine now. Like, we're besties. And yeah, it was through him that I started, you know, he was a producer at the time. He doesn't produce anymore. But yeah, so some of my first like tracks I recorded with him. at Harun's place, and like he used to have a little studio at the back of his parents' house.
Is this in Cape Town still?
Yeah. So we used to, like, I went and I recorded like the first few tracks that I actually ever recorded there, and one of them was a track called Conqueror. Yeah, which Dice then eventually found in Unapa. I don't know how he found him, sent him the vocals, and then like one day I hear this track is playing. Where did I hear this track play first? I can't even remember. Like, I don't even think they sent it to me. Like, I don't even know how that song got
it was just
out.
Going out and just doing its rounds.
Yeah, it was just doing the thing. And then, and somehow Black Coffee got hold of it. Oh, yes, and then he played it. I think it was one New Year's Eve on some party or something like that. And he also played it for his Boiler Room set. And I remember him saying, why don't you guys just make this official? Because it was unreleased at the time.
Yeah.
And then we signed it to a Spanish label, which was not the best decision to make, really.
Yeah.
But we did. We signed it. And and that was basically how that track actually got out. I don't think if he hadn't had said that, we weren't even thinking about it like that. Like, we were just like, this is a cool track. And and I think once he got his hands on it, and like we just sort of saw what the response was, and when he just sort of nudged us to do it, we were like, okay, cool, let's try it. And that was it.
But with Conqueror, you did have a little bit of animosity towards just coming into the music industry in general. Well, at least that's what I read.
Where did you read this?
Girl, you know what? What is this information that I'm getting? Like, because it says... I'm gonna literally read this quote right here.
Please, I want to know. I want to know who said it.
Because, wait, not these notes.
Where did they say?
These ones. Hey, guys.
I had about putting Conqueror out.
Yeah. Oh, not about putting Conqueror out, but just like getting into the music scene in general. But it was said in relation
to Conqueror. Oh, that's interesting. I think maybe because of the experience that we had with signing that track, for sure. Like, it was one of those, like, it's your first track, you're signing it, you don't really like know how the business goes and everything like that. And so when I say it was a bad decision, like, we signed it for like way longer than it should have, like the sort of term for it. And we've just like it was just one of those things where the label just took the song and they put it out, and that was it. And there was like, we still haven't had any communication from them.
Oh my gosh.
In 8-7 years or whatever.
Goodness.
Yeah. So I suppose that was like a teaching moment for me, definitely. And I think after that, I had tried to like shop a few of my tracks, and I had sent one to a label in the UK, and they took like so long for them to release it. They didn't even end up releasing it. And then after a while I was like, okay, let me take my song back and like release it myself. I didn't even end up releasing that track firstly, but that was the reason why I started Bae Electronica. Because I was like, why don't I just do this myself? So I started Bae Electronica because I wanted to put out music when I wanted to put it out.
You see, this I'm gonna read out the quotes because I'm not crazy. Because guys, I went and I did my research. I know that I'm not crazy.
Okay, of course.
It says, certainly the thought to make Conqueror official was not something I had in mind. At that time, I was deeply questioning my path in music. Before anything else, music for me is about community. You don't make music or become who you are on your own. In the grand scheme of things, it's a belief system, it's spiritual, and a channel for empowerment.
Yeah, exactly. That is very true. And I think the way we put Conqueror out was completely antithetical to that.
Yeah.
Like, the experience that we had of it
was just...
Yeah, it was. Even though as a sort of like collective of people, like the way the track came about, the way it sort of like got into the sort of public sphere, like all of that was like very much like a village raising a child, you know?
A village raising a child,
and then once we signed it, it was like completely out of our hands, and we weren't really like hip to the fact that once you do that, like you lose complete control over how it is. I mean, even some of the remixes, I was like,
just like, I hate this.
Yeah, I mean, I've never shared them.
So how does this tie into Bae Electronica? Like, what steps have you taken to sort of counter that with your clients? And also, how do you get people in a label as someone who owns a label?
Yeah, so I feel like the label thing is a little bit of like a heavy, like, thing. Like, so when people hear me say I run a label or I started a label, they think we're like releasing tracks all the time and we're signing artists and, you know, or rather I'm signing artists or whatever. No, I started the label because I wanted to release my own music at my own pace, at my own time. And then after that, I just became really interested in releasing music that was produced by women, you know. So I released Tandy Dry's EP, and then after Tandy, I did a project with Gina Jeans, where like I got some remixes of hers, of a track of hers that I really, really loved, and the remixes were by Zimbabwean, and that was like super amazing. And then I did the project with Misty that had remixes by DJ Spinner, Mark Francis, and oh gosh, why is his name escaping me now? It will come back to me. But yeah, like I think the way I approached releases, because I'm not really releasing anymore. I plan to at some point, but maybe not now. But the way I approached releases was just really like with a more sort of curatorial mind than to actually like take on demos, because I was doing everything.
Yeah, of course.
I still am doing everything myself, like uploading the songs. There was a time when I used to do my own artwork.
Mixing,
no,
not
that. No.
Well,
but like
JBS. No.
Yes, JBS does a lot, quite a bit of my stuff, and like there's a few other people. But yeah, like outside of course of actually mixing, mastering, recording, that kind of stuff I don't do. But then like all the other stuff afterwards, like I used to write press releases, I used to send them out to like media people. Like I used to do all the stuff after the track was ready, you know. So yeah, so it really just became like quite taxing, and I stopped enjoying it after a while.
Yeah,
but I think I would do it again now if I had someone to help me, like
a team.
Yeah, or at least another person to just help me do the other stuff. You know. But yeah, like the label just sort of, that's how it grew. Like that's how I sort of started doing that work, and it was fun. Like I mean, it was tough,
of course,
because I was working, also singing, being a mom, all that stuff, but I enjoyed it. Yeah.
So maybe let's talk about the sort of challenges that you can expect as an artist who's sort of unfamiliar with the business side of things. Because I feel like as an artist, our main thing is, you know, we want to create things and all that stuff, but financially we're not literate and all that stuff. And especially in your case where you're running a business, what sort of steps do you think that we should take, or just certain things that we should be cognitive of if we want to pivot into that environment?
Well, you mean from like a label sense, or?
I think from just like a business sense in general, because I think you've done all of that. I mean, you manage yourself, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
If
you can call it that would be the worst client ever. I'm kidding, not with it. Yeah, I think, you know, the most important thing for me always is like even when I started Bae Electronica, it was like an opportunity for me to learn how to do stuff, you know, because you're kind of like learning on the job. And I think the most important thing that I would say from like just a business perspective is just to keep yourself informed, like just to keep learning, you know. Obviously there's like the obvious things, like you go to the CIPC and then you put your register your business, and then you get like, depending on how much money you're making, you know, you find an accountant, and then obviously do your taxes, and like that's super important, you know, like taxes, like there's a lot of people who don't pay taxes.
And SARS will come for you.
And they will. So it's like that kind of stuff, like keeping all the books and everything together. But I always encourage people to learn by doing, because within that, that's how you figure out what you don't know. Because you can sit there and be like, I don't know anything. But then you also don't know what you don't know unless you're confronted by a situation. Yeah. You know, and then you're like, oh, shucks. And then sometimes you'll also discover that you know a whole lot more than you actually
Than you
think you do.
thought.
So obviously, just get the business, registered, do the taxes, like make sure you're keeping your money in check, find someone to help you with that. And then obviously from the music side, I mean, as much as there's so many, like, there's so much advice out there about what to do, the music industry is also like one of those places where there aren't any rules. Where you can make your own. Let me not say that there aren't. There are a lot of rules that we don't know that are very arbitrary. I feel like a lot of the rules in the music industry are like super arbitrary.
You don't know unless you know.
And it's like they're not written. Some of them are not written somewhere, and you're like, okay, but anyway, I mean, so yes, there's like there will be like lots of advice about what you should do, how you should do this, and X, Y, Z, and a lot of it is very valid. But the music industry is also a space in which you can create your own lane. So I would say possibly maybe know the rules before you break them.
But how though? Like, how do you go and approach someone, especially what you're saying, like you don't know? Like, as a new person, you're just walking into this thing, wide-eyed and stuff. Like, where do you start?
You start with the thing that you need to know the most.
Which is?
It depends.
Oh, shit. Okay.
It depends on your career. It's like, because for me, as a vocalist, the thing that I needed to know the most going in was split sheets and like how to manage like relationships with producers. And it took me a really long time to learn how to do that.
Yeah, artists liaising, basically.
Yeah, but like if a producer like approaches you to do a track, like how do you divvy up who owns the song and what splits they get and who is responsible for promoting the song and all that kind of stuff. Like that's stuff that I just for the longest time didn't have the right language to ask those types of questions until I started working with people who were managing artists.
That's my next question.
And then I started to see like in emails, and then they'll be like, okay, so what is the plan for this song? What label are you going to put it on? When do you plan to release it? Because now you're having to think about your schedule as an artist and that person's schedule. Like, so there's all these other different things that go into considering like when you should release a song. Yeah. Right. But I didn't know any of that because I was releasing my stuff anyway by myself. And I wasn't really dealing with a lot of like, producers who had like careers that were being thought about in a strategic way. So everyone that I was working with was just like, we're just gonna make this music and we're gonna put it out. So we were all doing that.
Shout out to SoundCloud.
Yeah. We were all doing that. We were just putting it out, SoundCloud. I mean, for us it was mostly like TrackSource, and people were just like doing stuff. Whatever. They were just doing whatever they wanted to do. So yeah, but it does help to some degree to know what the sort of what would I say is like the sort of way of doing is so people will talk to you about rollout plans. They'll talk to you about how to approach putting out an album versus an EP. Like there's all this kind of stuff where there are some sort of like rules around it, and then people will just go ahead and they'll break them anyway, without knowing that they're breaking them, or
they learn the hard way.
Yeah, basically. Or they're just doing it, they're doing it intentionally, and that is also fine. Like, but I found that like being knowledgeable about the rules, if you want to call them that, is very helpful, because sometimes you need them, and then other times you can just go ahead and like smash it.
I think this pivots into my next question. I think I can't think about you without thinking about Desiree, obviously.
Yeah.
So how did that relationship sort of come about? Because I know that she was a Brahm girly, as many of us are. We all got our start in Brahm. So like, how did you cultivate that relationship to where you are now managing her?
Yeah. So I used to do a party with my friend Swizz. He used to run a label called Surreal Sounds. Not Surreal Sessions. Surreal Sounds. I was getting confused. So Swizz used to run Surreal Sounds, and like we were just like, let's do this thing. And at that time, I was obviously, as a vocalist, feeling very frustrated by the fact that
They're on TV.
yeah, there was no space for me to sing. Well, there was, like, I could sing a few shows here and there, but like, also because I wasn't necessarily like one of those people who had like a number one hit, you know. So like in South Africa, the moment you get a number one hit, it's so much easier. Or a very popular song, let's say, it's a little bit easier. I won't say so much. It's a little bit easier to get bookings as a vocalist.
Absolutely.
Maybe more so now than it was then, because there was a time where there were people who I know personally who were making people's careers with their voices and they weren't getting booked. They were writing hit songs for producers, and like it was like song after song after song, and they just weren't getting booked. Like they weren't getting booked to play. But the DJ or the producer whose song it was, even though I don't believe in that, I think it's a collaboration. Like they were getting booked. So I was like, okay, let me do this. So Susan and I started this party in May of 2018. I think it was May. No, October.
2018.
Yeah, October of 2018.
Oh, okay.
October of 2018, we start this party called Bae Electronica. So it was both our label names put together. So we start this party, and it was myself, Carrie and the Soul, Tandy Dry, and Swizz were the residents. And then we'd have guests.
Is this in Cape Town?
No, in Joburg.
In Joburg.
At Kitchener's.
Oh, period.
Yeah,
Okay.
at Kitchener's. So we do it like I think every 2 months or something like that. It wasn't like very frequent. And so we did that. And then in 2019, I think we were doing like a Women's Day thing, Women's Month thing. And then Swizz was like, and the whole point of it was like we'd book an equal lineup, so 50% women, 50% men.
Yeah.
And I would book the women, he would book the men. But also sometimes he would suggest some people. So he'd be like, hey, I'm suggesting this person, suggesting that person.
Yeah.
And so he suggested Desiree, and at that time she had just started learning how to play, I think. Or she had been playing, like learning how to play, and then I think Surreal might have actually been like her first paid gig, actually. Because we used to pay everyone. Like the concept with that party was no like guest list.
Period. And then
And we had a sliding scale for the door, but all the money that was made at the door we'd take, and after like operational costs or whatever, like flyers and some advertising or whatever, and the venue, we'd pay everyone the same.
Okay.
So whatever we made on that night, everybody would just divide it by 5 or 6. Or
Is that what a sliding scale is?
Oh no, sliding scale is like, so the tickets would range from like between 50 and 80 rand is what I mean. So you could come to the door and you could be like, I don't have any money, or yeah.
I've never heard of that.
Yeah. Kitcheners used to do that all the time.
I've never heard of that.
Yeah, Kitcheners used to do that all the time.
Yo.
So it would be like, it was a sliding scale. So of course we had like online, you would buy the tickets online. But then, we had a sliding scale thingy at the door. I learned that from Colleen, actually.
Yeah, Coco. I was going to ask, did she learn how to DJ from Pussy Party?
Who, Colleen?
No, Desiree.
No. Desiree, I think, she started learning how to play like in like the area that she lived in. At like Shisanyamas and stuff. And then I think she took a few lessons with Boki. And then, I think that's how Swizz found out about her. And then, so then I was like, of course, because the opening slot was the opening slot. It was just like, are you a woman? Do you play Afro House? Do you want to play? Like, that's basically... That's how
it was.
Yeah, that's what it was. Because we weren't trying to be, like, precious about it, you know? Like, the spot was there for people to play, for women to play. So, so she played the first show, and also I had seen her at I used to work at the British Council, and then we did this DJ residency in Zambia, and she was part of that.
Sick.
So so she gets on, she plays, and we were all blown away. We were like, what the heck just happened here? Like, it was so amazing. Really good. And then after that we made her a resident. And so she became a resident, and played a few more parties after that. And then, was it even Women's Month? I think it was Women's Month that she played first time for us. But then, obviously, come 2020, like a friend of mine called Dima was like, why don't we manage Desiree? And I was like, what do you mean? Like, wasn't even thinking about that.
Yeah.
And she's like, come on, let's do it. And then we asked her and she was like, yeah, cool.
It's cool, whatever.
Yeah, it's cool, whatever. And then literally, like, I think it was the first gig that we booked her for after we had that chat. COVID happened, like literally the next day.
Yeah. The next day.
Yeah, like literally. I think she played the Saturday or whatever. It was a Sunday, I can't remember.
Like, guys, go home.
Yeah, and then that was it. So we didn't really actually like get to the part where she was playing shows until like maybe 2022, 2021.
Goodness. How do you make that jump from like just playing in bars, whatever, and then now you're touring?
You have to be consistent. Like, you have to play.
Mm-hmm.
You have to play. I mean, Desiree plays really well. Like, she's a fucking good DJ.
No, she is.
And I feel like a lot of people like don't understand that it's not something. I, for one, can say, having had seen her so many times, and also having had seen her from the beginning, I knew from the first time I saw her that she was going to be a good DJ.
Yeah.
Like, even though at that time she was still like learning the mechanics of like the actual decks, and you could still see that nervousness. Like, I was looking at videos of her playing at Kitcheners the other day, and I was like, wow, time has she's really grown, you know. But yeah, Des has always been a good DJ from the beginning. Like, the track selection for me was just what
set it off.
Yeah, I was just like, yeah, all the other stuff you can get with practice, but that, wow.
If you have taste, you have taste.
Yeah. And she has
can't
taste.
fake taste.
Yeah, you can't fake taste. So she has really great taste. So yeah, I think it's just a matter of consistency, obviously, and we've been very fortunate to work with different people outside of South Africa who have the sort of networks that are needed to be able to take your career from Johannesburg to
the world.
Yeah, to the world. So I can't say that we've done it all on our own. It's definitely very useful to have the right people to work with. It's not easy because we're like right at the bottom of the continent.
Yeah.
Unlike Nigerians who can just fly, or Ghanaians who can just fly.
Yeah,
like, that proximity is like, yeah. So from South Africa to be able to do that, particularly in our genre, I think it's incredible. Like, artists who are doing that now and who have done it before, especially for artists who are even in like more sort of niche genres, like, it's really remarkable to see how people do that, because now being on that side for as long as we have, which is not that long, it's about maybe 5-6 years now, like, you really start to see how important it is to build international networks. Yeah.
I don't mean to like bring the atmosphere down, but essentially the reason why I hit you up is because you were on your Instagram stories and you had written, I said to you, I like your rants.
Yeah, people call them rants, but they're not rants.
I'm with you. I'm always complaining about shit. Like, I'm always like, nah, guys, we have to do better. But I guess since you briefly touched on Women's Day, I think it's a nice point to start talking about gender politics within the space. So, coming from South Africa, we know GBV is a very rife thing here. Mental health is also another thing. How do you sort of come to terms with that, especially when you're touring and the atmospheres are what I would think very different?
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't tour with Desiree. She has a tour manager. And the one time that I did do it, I was on the road with her for a few shows, like over a month or something like that. It is very stressful. Like, I often wonder to myself how DJs cope, because it's like, especially in the summer, like in Europe, like, flights are often delayed. You're spending a good chunk of your time in an airport, or you're just going from one city to the next. You don't even get to see the city that you're in. And it does look very glamorous, but it is quite taxing on the body and the mind. So I can imagine, especially for people who are doing a ton of shows in the summer, it's like, it's really just very, very difficult. I know one thing that Desiree does do, obviously, is like work out. She loves to work out, and like just eating properly is a good thing. And then also like not drinking.
Yeah. Sobriety.
Like being sober.
Yeah, it's important.
I mean, if I just, like now at my big age, if I do 2-3 drinks, I'm out.
Yeah,
like
nah,
for 3 business days. So, I'm not like 20 anymore. So it's like, so yeah, but some people manage to still, you know, drink and whatever. So I guess it depends, you know, but I feel like, you know, just watching Desiree do it, it's not easy. And I think as an individual, you need to just decide what it is that's important to you, you know, and how to take care of yourself. Like, what are the things that you're going to do to be able to sort of make sure that you're at your best.
How do you achieve work-life balance? Because I mean, you mentioned you have a son, and that's obviously very important. So how do you manage all of these things and then try to still, I guess, create to your maximum?
I'm barely creating these days, to be fair. I'd love to do some more singing. I don't know if I would do it at the pace and like cadence that I did like maybe 5-6 years ago, but I'd love to create, and I'm always creating. Actually, I have like a little recording setup at home, then I plug in once in a while, and I just like, especially when I have like a really stressful week, I will, like, whenever you see me putting up like little doodles on the thing, just know
I'm going through it.
I'm going through it. And so, yeah, my son is grown now, Asham. He's a big guy. He turned 21 last week.
Wow.
Yeah, and he's not at home anymore, and he's in uni and stuff. He's his own person. So I have a lot more time to myself, I guess, than I did when, funny enough, like I always look back at it and I think, like, what was I doing? What was I thinking? Like trying to do all those things, because now that he's not at home, I still feel like I'm doing a lot.
Yeah.
How do I do that and have a kid?
Yeah. Yo, you are strong. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So yeah, I think right now more than anything, I've tried to slow down a lot. Like there was a time when I was really doing a lot of stuff, and I think a couple of years ago I burnt out. You know, I just burnt out, and I was just like, this is not sustainable. And obviously with COVID as well,
it's a lot. Guys.
Yeah, and I think I meet a lot of people who say, you know, my life really changed during that time. Like it was obviously very stressful for creative people, you know, people whose income relied on touring and performing and all that kind of stuff. But also just like having that time to really think about, you know, what it is that you want to do
and how you
in life, and at that point I realized I was just like, actually I don't have to do everything. So in the past 2 years I've been trying to let go of projects that are time and energy consuming, and
that's hard too.
Yeah, because I don't know how to say no. Like people ask me to do stuff all the time and I say yes. Like I'm really bad at that. I'm really bad at saying no.
Thank you for saying yes to me.
I'm really bad at saying no, yeah. But I mean, something like this, I'm just like, okay, this is really fun, you know. And I also just always like to connect with people who are doing like amazing work, you know. So then it's like, so now I have to have a criteria. That's what I've decided. Like, so now I have a criteria for like, even if I'm really tired, I will do that thing because it speaks to me in some way, you know. Whereas before I would just do anything.
Just do it
and just do and it worked, I guess, because, you know, sometimes you have to put in those hours, and I did put in the hours, and like now I'm very fortunate to have a really great network of people that I've met through those projects, really great relationships as well, you know. And as I have grown, so have those people, and so like we're in different stages of our careers now, and, you know, we're working together on different things. But I don't feel the pressure so much now to to have to do everything. I'm actually really okay with it. And like there's some things that I hold really dear, like still going to parties and going to shows. Like those two things I absolutely have to do. And then also like just being available in some way, not all the time, but in some way to women who are trying to get into the industry, to young people. Like I love doing stuff like this, like talking and speaking and stuff and sharing what I know, so I think I've just had to sort of like recalibrate. And meditation,
of course,
that I
ties
do
back into the mental health thing.
that I do very religiously, and also like therapy, and going to the gym. Like I'm now that person who goes to the gym in the morning.
But unfortunately, they were right. Like the gym rats were right. It actually does help with like your mind and stuff.
They were the endorphins and stuff. So I do that, and also it's like spending time with my family, man. Yeah. Like now, like I moved to Cape Town. I left Joburg in 2023. Yeah. Packed up my apartment, everything. I lived out of a suitcase for 18 months. Yeah. And then last year in November, I decided, okay, I'm going to settle down. I need to relax, guys. And thankfully, my sister, like, I would, like, in between traveling, I'll stay with my sister in Cape Town. But we're so different. Like, she's a homebody. Like she's not recording at mad hours of the night, so I was like, okay, I need to find my own place. Yeah. So I found a place in November in Cape Town, and I'm there now full time, and it's just it's nice because I get to see my siblings also, like, so we spend a good amount of time together, and that's like, for me, that's like really cool. Like,
what's the difference between Cape Town Groove? I'm always going to ask people this question. Cape Town Groove, Joburg Groove. What's the difference? Which one is better?
I would say, like, if you had asked me this question like last year, I would say that Cape Town, what I'm really enjoying about Cape Town right now is the diversity of the music that you get to hear when you go out.
More than Joburg.
I would say so, yeah. Because I can go to one park like all weekend, and like I'm not subjected to Amapiano or whatever. Like it's like I can go and there's like different people from different styles of music coming and playing. Like I think about, maybe let me talk about it this way. Like in the places that I like to go to.
Okay. Where do you usually go? One park?
Yeah, so like one park is one, and then there's like what's the name of this place now again? I like to go to
George.
Yeah, Curious George. Texas also, like, it's not even so much as the place, but like the promoters. I think the types of people, like the types of parties that people are throwing on. Like I feel like, and then also the live music scene in Cape Town is like my favorite. So I do a lot of like I go to a lot of live shows.
You're not a raver?
No, I am.
Oh, you're a raver?
No. I do go to parties, but I also enjoy going to watch live music shows. Like I've always done that. Yeah. So I was saying that if you had asked me that last year, that's what I would have said. If you asked me that this year, I feel that I think Joburg and Cape Town are really on par in terms of like new music discovery now. Whereas there was a time when I was partying in Joburg and I didn't really feel that anymore. Like especially after COVID.
After COVID, absolutely.
After COVID, I was just like, what is going on?
And I think especially coming from like a Brahm type of background, like for me, that was such a big difference coming out of COVID and just seeing Brahm change. It's like, what is going on?
Yeah.
Like gentrification.
That, and also like, I think Amapiano played a really big role in that. I remember when we picked up our parties again at Kitchener's after COVID, there was a massive difference.
Yeah, it doesn't feel the same.
Massive difference. And I feel there was a space of time where it just felt like people's ears were closed.
Yeah. No, you're right.
It's like it really just felt like that. And that's when I was like, actually no. And then we actually shut down the party. Not just because of that, but I mean, it was also getting really difficult because I was doing a lot of the sort of heavy lifting. And like Swizz also had like moved back it was just like,
It was just
it was a lot going on. But I think now Joburg is definitely like, and not even just from like when I come here, like when I just look at what's happening, like I was looking at an Instagram post yesterday, or was it the day before, on Friday, I think, and it was like, what's going on in Joburg? And oh my gosh, like this weekend, obviously it was like the last weekend of the month, but just the variation. So you had like Kids Love Jazz, you had Good Morning, you had a bunch of like really cool events. And I was like, this is nice. Yeah. This is really nice.
Listen, if there's one event to look out for right now, or just like a collective, it's seriously the Narrowby guys.
Yes.
They are so fantastic. I'm such a big fan. But anyway, let's get into event planning. I don't even know how much time we've been speaking for.
Oh, I don't know either.
46 minutes. Okay, we have like 15 minutes.
Yeah, so I definitely think that like, yeah, as somebody who like really enjoys going out to clubs and like parties, I definitely feel that the energy is so different now compared to like maybe that first year out of COVID, I think. And it's a beautiful energy. Lots of young promoters as well. Young promoters who are just doing amazing things. Ebubnandini Prime.
Gosh, yeah.
Like just people who are like, they really just want to like build communities, and also like see themselves and their people thrive, and other people, because when you have a party, you don't just book your friends, you book other people, and so just being able to see what like the combinations of like lineups that people are putting together, and just just the kind of camaraderie also that like I'm witnessing with like, even in Cape Town, when you see like a number of young promoters that I know, it's like people are working together, you have to bring your friends on, especially with places like the Broke Clubhouse, the Backyard guys, and also like Sesfikile and stuff like that. It's like you can really see young black people in the city, and that's for me the most exciting part about where Cape Town is right now, is like seeing young black people in the city. In the city.
What advice would you give to like someone like me listening to you? It's obviously a great honor, and you have years of experience behind you. Electronic music specifically in the country, because I think when I started partying, it was the trap phase, and then now it's coming into amapiano and stuff, and then on the underground side, or like the alternative side, we have things like that's really doing the round. So like, how would you run specifically, or what advice would you have for running an electronic music event? Because it's not a popular thing in the country. I wouldn't say.
You mean as in like,
I'm talking like jungle, techno, stuff like that.
Yeah, stuff like that. I mean, you know what I always feel is useful, and I say that because that's how we did it with Swizz and myself, is to collaborate. Like, I know like right now everybody wants to start their own thing because they don't think that there's any space for XYZ in the scene, and they think their thing is going to be the answer to the thing. Yeah. It's not that it's going to be the only thing, but they think their thing is going to be the answer, which is fine. Like, that is absolutely great. But what I found that was really useful, and at that time, I think apart from the rhythm, there wasn't like any Afro parties.
In terms of what? Afro house?
Yeah, like Afro house, Afro tech, like, the kind of music that like Carrie and the Soul and even Swizz and even Tandy were playing at the parties. Like, there weren't that many parties that play that kind of music, like in the city, like, of course, when you go to the townships, it's another story, you know what I mean? But I mean, like in Bram, for example, like, so obviously it was like, yes, this is a great party. It's like, it's something that we feel would really contribute to like the nightlife in Johannesburg, and for us it served a very specific purpose, like trying to create a space for ourselves in the scene and for women and for whatever the case may be. But I feel like it may not have gone on for as long as it could have, but it definitely went on as long as it did because we were working together, right? So I think what I think would be really useful, and what I'd also really just love to see more of, is like people collaborating,
Of course,
like promoters collaborating and doing like collab parties, like, because like even if you just look at this week, there were just so many parties, and with people's reducing, income, like
high tech.
like people aren't like, they're not going to be able to go out to like 3-4 parties in a month.
That's so smart. Okay, I hear exactly.
You know what I
you're
mean?
saying. Yeah.
So, and I don't know, I suppose it would take a sort of openness on each side to be able to be like, okay, let's come together. But yeah, I would say, instead of trying to start something new on your own, try and start something with other people.
Or even
and also like putting, like having multiple genres. I think it takes a little bit of work in terms of like how you would curate the night, but I think that's also like useful. I kind of feel like spreading it out a little bit and having like, because then that also like broadens the audience, I think. And I mean, there are parties like Gom Therapy that are playing just Gom, and you go and that's it. But then it's also like the only like party where you can find Gom the whole night,
and it's so good
in the city.
Like
you will find it on lineups, like different like lineups, DJs and stuff. So I would say they're like an outlier, but I would definitely encourage people to, because it's so hard to keep something going without growing the audience. So you have to grow the audience, of course, and then you also need to make sure that you don't get tired.
Oh gosh,
because we lose a lot of people to that, to just the sort of exhaustion that comes from running events, which are like from niche spaces that typically don't make a lot of money. So also like just being realistic about it. Like the party doesn't have to be every month.
Of course,
it can be once a quarter or once every 2 months.
Once a year.
Or even once a year if you don't have the juice for it. But then at least you're like sort of planning and all of that. So like I feel sometimes it's like, because even when we started ours, we were like, we want to do once a month, and we were like, no way. That's when my son was still like in high school, and so there just wasn't going to be much space for that. But so also just like being realistic about your audience, the size of the audience, what it is that like that they enjoy and will go out for.
Is the audience really that important?
I think so. I think to some degree, for me, that's what parties are about. It's about the audience. It's about, I think we've made it too much about DJs.
No, that I agree with. Absolutely.
I think we've made it too much about DJs, and then it's like, you coming to see this DJ.
The bouncers, what happens to the rest of everyone?
There's a whole community that makes nightlife. So for me, I think I feel also like really great when I go to a party that I know they really care about the audience. Like they care about safety, they care about the venue, they care about accessibility, they care about like just you and your experience that you're going to have when you come to this party. And I feel like that for me is a more useful way to look at it when you're throwing parties, as opposed to like, okay, we have this party, now we want to go from Kitchener's to, I don't know, some other bigger venue, and then become a festival, and then become I think sometimes people just become really stuck. They become engrossed in this whole scalability thing. Like they're thinking, okay, so we'll start here, but we know we want to get to like there, and then we want to have this DJ, that DJ, and whatever. But it's like what about your audience? Like, what about the people? What kind of people do you want to come to your party?
That's an important question to ask when you're event organizing. That's why I'm asking, does the audience really matter? I think from my perspective, I mean, obviously it's like what you were saying about we think that our event is like the first one to do this thing or whatever, but I think the reason why I started 303 is because I truly did not see the like DJs that looked like me on the lineup playing the music that I like.
Mm-hmm.
And if I did, it was, you know, like white. It was predominantly white, predominantly male, and all that stuff. So I was like, okay, I need to do something about this. And the audience is very specific to that demographic, and it hasn't really been exposed to people my age in my crowd. So we need to do this type of thing. So it's like, I don't know, what kind of advice would you give in a situation like that, when you really think that, okay, I'm trying to start something new?
Well, you've already done it. There's no more advice to give.
There is.
Just do it.
All the advice I can get. What do you mean?
Just do it. Like,
You need all the advice.
like, just do it. Like, what is it that you feel that you need advice on? Is my question. Because remember, I said to you, it's very much specific to who you are as an artist. Because I think, like my comment earlier about like, you have to create your own rules, and it's really just specific to you. The reason why I say that is because, you know, like, people will have all kinds of advice for you, but that advice is very much based on their experiences and how they have navigated their life, and sometimes it's not always applicable. So I also, like, as much as I like to talk about these things, like, I also sometimes feel a little bit wary about like saying,
as a blanket statement.
Yeah, as in like, you should do this, or you should. Well, no, like, you know, like, I remember once I used to work with an amapiano artist, and
Name and shame.
no, he's actually really amazing. And you know, in amapiano, I will just use this as a general example. In amapiano, the guys record today, you see them on live, the song is out tomorrow. Do you understand? And like, we were at the time, we were working with people who were obviously like industry people, and they were like, no, we need to plan for 6 weeks, then you need to give us a rollout plan, and yeah, and we need to get this person involved in the PR and the, you know, and it was just like, no, dog.
That's actually, I love that.
It was like, but
do it.
and he was getting frustrated because he was like, no, you don't understand that this is the culture of this genre. This is how we move. We record today, we put out tomorrow. Like, and you have to be able to facilitate that.
Yo, that's hectic.
You know? So that's what I mean when I say that there are all these rules. They will tell you, use a waterfall strategy, you know, which is release one single, then after 6 weeks, another single, then after another 6 weeks, another single, then the album. Like, those are the rules.
Yeah. But if it doesn't work for you,
if it doesn't work for you, it doesn't work for you. Do you know what I mean? So that's what I mean when I say, what is the advice that you need? So like you also need to be able to identify. That's why I said, start with the thing that is most important. You have to do like a triage system, because you can't go asking everyone for advice.
yeah.
You need to ask very specific people who will give you an answer to the problem that you have.
Yeah.
But then you have to know what the problem is, or you have to have in your mind what it is the question that you need answered. You know, especially like when you're approaching people who typically just are doing a lot and have a lot of things on their plates, you know, and this is like just general advice that I would give anyone who's just sort of starting out, especially if you're approaching people who are like more experienced and have a lot going for them. They would really appreciate it if you were like, okay,
Specific.
give me a one question.
Yeah.
One question or two questions. You just say to them, look, I'm having an issue with X.
Yeah.
How do I deal with X? You know, and that really helps. So that's why I'm saying, what is it that you need advice on? Because you could need advice on something, and I can give you like generic advice. That's not going to help you.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to go back and think about my answer specifically now that you've said that. But I guess with closing off statements, what projects do you have in the future? When you go back to Cape Town, you're gonna be back in your bed tonight.
Nah, I don't actually have any projects that I'm working on at the moment, if I must be honest. Like I said, I record on an ongoing basis just to stay, you know, like engaged, like as a person creatively. But I think I would say the honest answer to that question is the ongoing project that I have is like myself, you know, like just like doing the things that I really enjoy doing and making space and time to be able to do those things. Like, I think I've fought really, really hard to be able to have time, you know, like sometimes like people call me and they'll be like, oh, are you free at this time? And I'm like, yeah. My friend said to me the other day, he was like, you're always free. I'm like, yeah, for you and for the things that I want to do, I have lots of time for that, you know. So I'm really like fighting to be able to keep that, like, you know, and like keep work as work, but like also just having just having space to be able to, like, if I decide today I want to get up and like go watch a show, I'll get up and I'll go watch a show, or like spend time with my family, or, you know, spend time with my friends, or, you know, just that kind of stuff. And then hopefully somewhere in there I will find time to actually release music, because I want to do it. Like, I really want to like release music again,
and we're looking forward to it.
And I want to play. I definitely want to play. I think I'm going to play a few more shows this year. But they're going to have to be like shows I really, really want to play, and not just like playing for the sake of playing. I just want to play shows that I really want to play. Like, honestly.
And where can people find these shows? Plug your socials. It's that part of the show now.
No, if you go to my Instagram, there's actually no posts on there because I'm in this limbo. I'm like, what am I going to do? But if you go to my stories, that's where all the action happens.
Follow for the stories, y'all. And the stories go down.
That's where all the actions happen. It's at Jackie Queens. On Instagram. Instagram's the bit. Twitter, not so much. I'm more of a lurker there now. I used to engage on there, but not as much anymore.
SoundCloud, YouTube.
SoundCloud is still there. Jackie Queens on SoundCloud. Jackie Queens on TikTok. Although there's like one video of me on TikTok.
You're on TikTok.
There's like one video though. Like, that's the one thing I haven't been able to get into. Like, I enjoy watching other people do it.
It's so, like, it's too stimulating. I can't, bro.
I really enjoy watching other people do it.
It's crazy.
I love it. I will sit there and I will watch video after video. But to see myself doing it, I don't know. Maybe that's the next project I should work on, is starting a TikTok.
We'll see there. We will see you that side.
For fun. Come on, we gotta live. You only have one life.
You gotta do the dances. With your son. He was gonna teach you.
Oh, he'll cringe. He will cringe, but yeah.
All right. Thank you guys for tuning into episode 2 of 303 The Sit Down. You can catch it on Rocker Radio. Shout out to Lekona from Lily's for hosting us. And Jackie, thank you so much for sitting down with me. This was great.
Thank you.
All right, cool. See you next time, guys. Bye.
Bye.